Just tan CJ's ass for me. Or shoot him, if it's easier. Once you're in the green zone, I don't have to pretend like I don't know you. Okay? Yeah, hi. Not now, please. I'm so happy for Lily and Rizzo. Every damn time. I heard about the new job. Congratulations. Welcome to married life, you guys. You have no idea, Crenshaw. Him standing over me and Evan while I was giving birth, blasting those synths to hell with Lily. Another one down. Evan will be so happy. Finding those books for Evan was the only thing on my list. I'll be sure to tell you if anything comes up, though. Oh, wow! You really did it, didn't you? That's all of them. Evan is going to be so happy. Here, a little something for the big trouble. Great! Keep looking. I'm sure they're out there somewhere. I remember that one. Glad you tracked it down. Yeah, that's one of them, all right. Welcome back. What's up, Deputy?
I'm working with Dr. McClintock on making the fatigues NIR compliant to help hide our snipers from those fucking FLIR scopes. Check out those badges. Not bad, huh? The engraving I do started as putting my father's business name on all his leather products. The badges, brooches, blades, and tomahawks aren't available to non-deputies. For obvious reasons. I'm pretty handy with an engraver, riveter, and sewing machine, but it's Whitworth that casts the blades, tomahawks, brooches, and badges. I picked up that fancy plasmasphere on my display from a frighteningly smart, unowned, and independent Assaultron caravan merchant. S-A-R-A. Sarah. It's pretty, but the tech is kind of mundane. Barb was able to replicate it for her earrings. I carry a few in stock if you're interested. Whitworth and Dan get the weapons the deputies pull off of dead perps to fix up, but they're smart enough to give me the armor to work with. The textile machines are running continuously right now to keep up with all the cotton Barb's greenhouse produces. I use a series of silkscreen dyes to put the camouflage on our fabrics. Go check out the workbench up in the textile room if you're curious. Lucas Miller says haggling gives him a headache. He really means lowering his prices gives him a headache. When I've got something he wants, he'll start haggling to get my price down as sure as the North Star points north. Cricket's not allowed in the green zone. Not because she's a jethead, but because she's a well-armed jethead. Last time Doc Weathers was here, Gary browbeat him for being a charlatan butcher. I don't think we'll ever see him around here again. Daisy in Goodneighbor is my main point of contact for Capital Wasteland imports. She knows a really reliable caravan that travels down there. I like Myrna. She's a no-bullshit trader who is upfront about her prices. Only problem is her stock is mostly just trash. Even the junk. Whitworth's been in Diamond City since it was established after the war. He knows more about this place than anyone. People say Mo's an asshole when he's not trying to get someone to buy a swatter. People are right. Losing University Point as a trading hub was bad enough. But when Quincy fell, it took a lot of good-paying customers with it. The synth heads just kept piling up. I think we have some creative solutions for them around here. I mean, we had to do something with them, right? Delano takes what the department needs from the Vault Tech crates the scavers recover. The rest goes to me to sell for the FSD. I'm glad you and Lily were able to bring Terry back. She and Gary love each other very much, and they both deserve happiness. The two of them... I don't know. It's almost like they were made especially for each other.
Most of you know how I ended up in the Commonwealth. Where I come from, what I used to be, how I fled with my husband, pregnant as a bus. Lily was the first person we met on the way down here that didn't try to shoot us. We were on our way to Diamond City, but Evan had other plans for his arrival time. It was Lily who found us as I was screaming through labor. Unfortunately, some synths had heard me too, and tried to kill my baby before he was even, well, out. We had no idea what they were, had never seen one before. We just knew that they wanted to kill us and my baby. Lily heard the firefight by pure chance. She had just formed the Atom Cats here with Zeke, and was joyriding in her new power armor. She turned those synths into scrap metal in her power armor, and saved the 3 of us that day. She took us back to Diamond City, and introduced us to the sheriff, in her own unique way, before stomping off. I'll never forget seeing her and her power armor stomping those synth heads. She was so young. Just a kid. I thought we were gonna die. But me, my family, little Evan born in a firefight, we're all alive because of her. All of us, living, breathing here today because of Lily. Thank you, Lily, for saving us, for being my friend, and for being a sister when I needed one most. We love you, and we'll miss you. You reconsider, or are you wasting my time? There you are. Don't forget to drop by again when you've got some caps to get rid of. Stay safe out there. The Harbor is the only place with a genuine BDSM orange in stock. You look like you need a bondage orange. They're my pride and joy. At least, after Gavin showered, they're my pride and joy. And Evan, born in the middle of a firefight? Pretty badass. Evan watches little Abby for Angie during most days. He'll do his homework or have friends over a lot. We try to make sure he meets other kids. Depending on the day, Babs, Zawicki, or Dan will lecture a class or 2 in the afternoon. Thankfully, he's self-motivated, or it would be impossible. We're all very fortunate to be here. I can't really put into words how much it means to a parent to have somewhere like this to raise her kid. So, Terry, if that's how you met Gary, how'd the 2 of you, decide to become a thing? At least, when did you know? Well, we came from almost as far north as you, an island called Far Harbor. That's a long story. We were raised in 2 different camps. I was in those weird Children of Adam, because they fed me in exchange for armor work. Gavin was part of the local village, and to say the 2 communities didn't like each other was an understatement. They shot each other on sight. Oh, Jesus Christ, Gavin! As I was about to say before being cut off, Terry, Gavin and I met by chance. And there was just, well, you know when you know. And when we saw each other, we met by chance. Each of us was away from the community doing our jobs and, well, ignore him, Terry. The point is, that one chance encounter led to our first planned date, and then another. And don't you say it, Gavin. Long story short, Terry, we fell in love. We hid it for a good long while, but when I got pregnant with Evan, everything changed. My people would have killed me and the baby. Gavin would have never been allowed to see me again. We had to do something. Everything became about how to save Evan. We booked passage on a boat, captained by someone who wouldn't ask too many questions. It wasn't a pretty trip. He ferried us across the water at the shortest point, took our caps, and told us to get lost. But it was all we needed. His tongue may be as sharp as Lily's, but Gavin here kept us safe and fed for weeks in the open wastes while we made our way down here. Surprisingly sexy in retrospect, given the circumstances, Terry. Okay, I answered your questions. Maybe a little too thoroughly. Now, how did you and Gary hit it off? See, even Terry agrees. She makes a good point. Yeah? And then? Ugh, I love Gary's poetry too. So romantic. No wonder you fell for him. Ah, you know what they say. There's someone out there for all of us. You just have to find them. Hey guys, we heard about a grand opening. Mind if me and Gavin join you? Really? Well, why the hell didn't I think of that? Oh, yeah? Well, how'd you do that? Language. Was that before or after the Deathclaw? Oh, don't be ridiculous. There's only one Gary, and she found him. Just be happy for her. See you later, Crenshaw. Hey, Heather. Yeah, they are. Babs made them. Aren't they something? I sold a pair to Sora at the Manhattan Project a couple weeks ago. North of the school. You can call me Luna. Anything else isn't really necessary for this business transaction. Fair enough. When they come asking me about you for clearance in the green zone, I'm sure we can find a disqualifier, if you're sure you want that. I'm a busy girl. I'm not going to be out here with this offer again. It's now or never. Excellent. You can't miss this guy. He's got a beard. He bought one of these scarves I'm wearing off me and wears a leather jacket and hard hat. He was bragging about getting the okay to set up a stall in Bunker Hill, but that was a month ago. Dishonest traders tend not to stay put very long. If he's not in Bunker Hill, it's probably because he ripped someone off there, too, and wants to lay low. So Good Neighbor would be the next place. As I said, this is about reputation. Get that scarf back, and you can keep the caps you beat out of him. Or fish off his dead corpse. Either way. Make sure the others see what happens when you fuck with the sheriff's department. Just don't tell anyone it was me he ripped off. I can't wait here for you. So I need you to mail the scarf to me in the stubs by dropping it in the mailbox at the entrance so I know the job's done. If you want in the green zone, it's only a matter of time until they ask me about you. Get me that scarf. I'll mention you're dependable. Okay? Yeah, sure. I suppose I can tell you. Just keep this hush-hush. Once we're done, I never met you, if you know what I mean. You see, I had a scaver run off with a payment of mine for some dye fixer. He just took the money and ran as far as I can tell. Been a month now. Normally, I don't pay in advance. I'm the hardest business boots in the green zone, which is the reputation we're worried about here. But this guy was just getting started and had a sob story about being poor. So I paid up front, figuring I'd help him get his scavenging business going. So yeah, I broke one of my own rules of acquisition and it bit me in the ass. Never pay up front. The trick is, the FSD can't hear about me getting swindled, or there goes my rep as the top merchant in the stubs and the rest of the green zone. And I've got a kid I've got to raise. Spending a few days to go out and find him isn't really a choice I have. So, here we are. Seems I misjudged you. Yeah, I do. It's more a job where you fix a mistake only a bad mother makes. I accidentally traded my son's book collection. I'm not allowed to do business with anyone who hasn't had the orientation. Go follow Lily. Sorry, not open right now. Catch me during business hours and maybe we can come to an agreement. I don't know much about that place at all, except Angie moved from there with her sister when they were still pretty young. She said if she heard that Nuka jingle one more time, she was gonna shoot someone. Whatever that means. I used to get a lot of trading done with items that came through that place. It was a pretty big commerce hub. About a year ago, stuff from there started slowing to a trickle, and the last I heard, it was because raiders had taken it. I haven't heard much about it since. It got so bad and they went so silent, I've stopped expecting merchants from there. Haven't seen one in months. I really hope everyone made it out okay. Ugh, you. What do you want now? She's got a sharper tongue than you do, Lily. Speaking of which... No, I'm done asking you for her name. You guys won't ever give that up. It's like some sort of game for you now. I just have so much trouble picturing the sheriff as a kid. She ever, had a guy she liked or anything? Oh, that's the town in Pennsylvania, right? Where? Oh, hey, Mark. I don't suppose it made the trip with you from your vault? Speaking of moving, Gavin, I believe you promised me some time in the greenhouse. Easily the best coffee I've ever had, Terry. I'm glad you're here with us. Beautiful music as always, Linda. Thank you. Bye, Gary. A mute fruit? In his head? And you just sewed it back up?
Those headset targeters some of the deputies wear make a real difference in the urban firefights. They track targets even behind walls.
Most of them were comics about the sheriff that Piper made, but the sheriff signed the inside cover for his, which he was very proud of. Spears gave him some repair manuals he had lying around the shop, but Spears can't give up his only remaining copies of them. And Lily gave him some books for a kid about his age, short fantasy adventure ones, nothing big, but they were from Aunt Lily. You can? That would mean a lot to both me and Evan. And I'd pay handsomely. Let me write down a list of the books for you here. You can bring them back as you find them or as an entire set. I really hope you can pull this off. You'd make him a very happy boy. That's a shame. I would have paid well. But it's up to you, I guess. Evan has been collecting books ever since he learned how to read. Most were gifts from Lily, Piper, and the lieutenants, so they mean a lot to him. And I got tired of stepping on him. You don't want to damage stuff like that. So I made him keep them together in a box. Turns out, I keep some of my merchandise in the same type of box. One day I was packing stuff up to give to Lucas, and his box got caught in the mix. It was a couple days before we noticed. By then, Lucas had sold them to anyone who wanted them. Evan was heartbroken. And me? I'm not winning Mother of the Year anytime soon by keeping my kid from reading as much as he read those books he loved so much. You're gonna have to catch me when I'm at my shop. I don't just carry this giant inventory around with me everywhere I go. Unlike you. Tuesday, Thursday, and weekends, 7 to 5. Oh, I'm so sorry, Whitworth. Thanks for sharing the story, Whitworth. See you tomorrow. Honestly, I'd rather you bought something. Howdy there, stranger. Welcome to the harbor. What can I do for you? All right, take care. Now you're speaking my language. Hey there. Oh, so now you want work. No, I don't think so, Chuckles. Fool me once and all that shit. My specialized armors are limited to sheriff's deputies. Sorry. But for the rest of us, I carry a wide stock of not junk. Oh, watches, cards, jewelry, games, material shipments, fruit, lighters, engraving service, lamps, toys, work, information, references, rumors, and more.
Myrna can say her shit isn't junk, but that doesn't change the fact that it's still shit junk, with 200 years of rust on it. We get the good stuff here.
Nobody scours the vaults like the sheriff's department, and nobody actually looks inside those vault tech crates like we do. Or at all, apparently.
All that supercharged cotton growth doesn't come easy. Barb's gotta continually replenish the soil with fertilizers to keep it producing.
The department just sent over some real tight duckweave printed bolts. I should have some quality fatigues made in the next few weeks. One of my sniper helmets took a headshot last week. The deputy's fine, but it fucked up the digital visor something good. Lily's friend, how's it going? That's a hell of a story, if there ever was one. I don't know if you've been to the service entrance yet, but the big guy who wouldn't let you in is my husband. He was a harbor master strongman for several years. Real Boy Scout type, who folks relied on to get stuff done. He'd help out the neighbors, go scare off some gulpers for the old-timers, or listen to that hoary Dalton lady ramble incoherently. I was in the Children of Adam, but that didn't stop us when we ran into each other in the woods one day, and I saw those eyes and that barreled chest. One chance meetin' turned into several dozen secret meetings. You know how things go. You can't choose who you love. Pretty soon, I got myself a wedding ring and a baby on the way, which meant my stomach was a ticking time bomb, a death sentence. We had to make tracks. Either I'd get killed by my cult or he'd get run out of his town for our marriage, so staying just wasn't an option. We didn't know where we'd end up when we left that island. We just knew that we didn't want our baby breathing that fog either. We booked passage on a trader's boat while I was still pregnant and made it to a merchant hub a few days north of here. I was very pregnant by then, but we decided to push on to Diamond City where I could have a roof over my head and electricity when I gave birth. Or so I thought. We made it to Salem when Evan decided he'd had enough of being cooped up inside my belly, and I went into labor. Some of those mechanical synths heard me screaming while giving birth in a parking garage behind a car. As you heard at the funeral, Lily saved us and brought us here. It was pure chance she was that far north, way outside her usual route. Turns out, between my blacksmith and textile skills and my husband's strongman talents, we were pretty valuable to the newly formed department. We took the sheriff up on her invite. I set up shop, and my man stands at the rear gate, actually protecting us. We've been safe ever since. You mean where'd I get the tattoo on my face, right? I used to run with the Children of Adam. Sister Luna. Tailor, engraver, metallurgist, antique stealer, mother, and conventional armorer for the sheriff's department. I've got the goods if you've got the caps. Look cool and stay alive. The best of both worlds here at the harbor. We got the only new fabric in the Commonwealth, grown, spun, and weaved right here in-house. Yeah, they showed up at the service entrance for 3 large rolls of PFP. I guess Shelley's been making new clothes to sell like she said. Sora spoiled herself with these funky green earrings. She loves them. Babs is making a couple more sets to sell on consignment here. Lily? Oh, God, when you ask like that, it's never good. Are you okay? What? Wait, no, why me? Just give them to Dan or the sheriff. What? You want me to lie to the sheriff? For you? You realize what you're asking? You know how good she's been to us? Lily, what the hell has come over you? What's going on? I can't believe you're asking me to lie to the sheriff. You what? God damn it, Lily! What the fuck are you thinking? We lost you once already, I swear. Fucking A, Lily. I can't believe you put me in this position. Just give me the goddamn bag. Just this once, okay? I'll tell her an anonymous source I trust or something. I swear to God, Lily, if you make me do this again, I'm going straight to the sheriff. And you quit that job now. You hear me? I'll never forgive you if I have to tell Evan we lost you again. You can thank me by never putting me in this position again. I don't think I need to remind you of how well Lily is loved around here. If she gets hurt on your watch, you better never come back. Yeah?
Well, guess we don't have to worry about Lenny double-dealing the scores he finds anymore. We have dinner in the left field diner some nights. I really like bringing Evan over there. We pretend to be in a normal world for just a bit. I heard Lieutenant Spears is looking for people to gather sand for the power armor paint. Dr. McClintock is without a doubt the smartest person I've ever met. Granted, when you were in a cult like me, you don't meet too many smart people. But still, that greenhouse, her fruits, her cistern, they're all so beautiful. Stupid doesn't make that.
You get right to the good part, don't you? Careful out there. It'd suck if you were to get killed and not be able to refuse to help people with good paying jobs, Me, my husband, and my child wouldn't be here, and most likely wouldn't be alive if it wasn't for her and Lily. I don't technically serve under her. Like Barb and the rest of the Stubbs, we're more of a support staff presence than fighters. But as my husband attests, her and her lieutenants will take a settlement strongman and turn him into a killing machine. You ask any of the deputies around here, they all agree on one thing. We're lucky to have her and be where we are. On a personal level, she's a cold fish to thaw. Haven't seen her smile more than once in I don't know how many years. Harkins says it's because of some sort of officer decorum thing she's big on. She does not let her personal side show when it comes to work. She never shows up for any of the fun stuff, except the Centerfield dinner night. To this day, nobody knows how Lily managed that. Well, Barb is without a doubt the smartest person I've ever met. Granted, that's not hard. I grew up around religious people. She tends the few plants you see in right field, which gives her a reason to come by every few days and say hello to us. Between Far Harbor and the Atom Cult, I thought I'd seen every strange and glowing thing there was to see. But that greenhouse of hers, you seen it yet? It's on another level. One of those things you never forget. Me and my man get a babysitter for the kid and go over there some nights to just relax in the hammock. There's nothing like falling asleep to those crickets without having to worry about getting eaten by a fog crawler. And I've never even seen a real apple or orange until she brought one over one day. Fruit that's been extinct for centuries. Unbelievable. Her cistern is another thing that she's got going on that'll take your breath away if you get a chance to see it. I don't know if you've got clearance for it or not, but it's where they got the dirt for the greenhouse. Now it's where the clean water is stored. They tend to get real touchy about that place, so it's off limits right now. Most of us have seen it once or twice, but it's usually locked tight. It's where all this colored amber you see around here comes from. I don't speak genius, so you'd have to ask Barb about them. Anyway, I'm rambling. If there's a heart to the Fens Sheriff's Department, it's the sheriff. If there's a brain, it's Barb. Technically, she's a civilian, but you see the authority she carries when she talks at their meetings. Everyone listens to her. It's that obvious. I don't want to get into too much more regarding the security operations, but we wouldn't be here without her either. This entire organization, it's all come together because of a lot of hard work. Much of it on her part. We're lucky to have 'em. Where else can you get Brotherhood of Steel level training without having to actually join the Brotherhood of Steel? I mean, they're hardly old farts, but middle age is a pretty rare achievement these days, and all of them have managed it somehow. You don't just turn your nose up at an opportunity to learn from people like that. Gavin would never admit it, but he practically worships them. I like having them around. They're kind of like the experienced elder type my father was. And they're certainly old enough to be my parents. That's a hell of a story if there ever was one. At the risk of offending Gary. The sheriff, huh? Gavin's my husband, and in charge of security at the rear gate. Don't take his attitude personally. He's just protecting his home and family. He's plenty talkative if you can catch him off duty. Hell, sometimes you can't shut him up. He's also mine, so hands off. Lily directly saved the lives of my entire family. Plain and simple. You can never repay a debt like that. Ever. I've only had a few life-changing events I can think of. My father dying, meeting Gavin, fleeing south, giving birth, and meeting Lily are among them. You heard what she did for us at her premature funeral. Evan's birth and meeting her happened at the same time. If it wasn't for her, the three of us would have died that night in that parking garage, killed by a bunch of robots we'd never seen before. My son would have died before he'd taken his 10th breath. But Lily took us here to safety. Everything we have today started with her that day. My family can be safe. We can raise our son and earn our keep in exchange for all that. How do you thank someone for that? You can't. So please just keep her safe out there. For all of us. Well, I don't know too much about Gary. Problem is, he doesn't either. He's effectively had total amnesia since anyone's known him. From what I understand, he's from the Capital Wasteland. But that's all I know, really. He arrived with the lieutenants. Lieutenant Crenshaw found him huddled in a corner of a subway station during one of his recon patrols, almost dead from starvation, and took him in. That was about a decade ago, when the BOS was actually applying all that tech they hoard for good. Otherwise, Gary would have probably been shot. Anyway, turns out Gary is real handy with a scalpel and blood pack, even if he can't tell you how he knows all this stuff. He had on a tattered Vault-Tech lab coat and not much else. They think he might be from a vault, but nobody can be sure. I guess he must have been the medic before losing his memory or something, because the BOS kept him on board as a staff surgeon. Harkins says that Crenshaw looks out for him like a brother, so the squad took him with them when they went AWOL. Gary decided to stick with Crenshaw when they came here from Pennsylvania, and he's been here ever since. I like him, but he's got a silver tongue about him. Maybe you'll be lucky enough to see him on one of his poetry nights. Such stirring words. So you've heard about Oaks and Delano, huh? It's a sad story, and not one I like to think about, given I'm a family woman myself. They're also my friends, and I respect the severity of the subject for them, so that's all I'm going to say about it. Gavin's my husband, and in charge of security at the rear gate. Don't take his attitude personally. He's just protecting his home and family. At the risk of offending Gary. The sheriff, huh? At the risk of offending Gary. The sheriff, huh? From a business perspective, the sheriff seems to have dotted all the I's and crossed all the T's as far as funding goes. It's wired tight here. Take Crenshaw's scouts, for example, that are way out there, establishing trade with settlements and looking for new hauls. You got our riggers that go get the hauls the scouts find. We just call them scavvers for short, but they're far more than that. They specialize in taking those big-ticket items out of bunkers, buildings, or vaults and bringing them here. That giant T-60 helmet floor mural in the lobby is just one example of the big shit I've seen them bring from across the Commonwealth. They gouged it out of the lobby of Cambridge Polymer and then got it across the river and here in one piece. Remarkable. That cotton carder and spinning wheels in the textile room? From a colonial recreation tourist trap 50 miles from here called Old Bridgester. Her scavvers cut some pickup trucks in half, hooked them to Brahmin, and, you guessed it, hauled all that back here. That loom weaver was probably the biggest score. I'm still amazed the scavvers found all the parts for it, and Dan got it working again. Took a few weeks to get it running smooth and reliable, but we're making 100 bolts by machines where we used to make one by hand. Now, we got Barb growing GMO cotton in her greenhouse, and we got staff turning it into the first new fabric in 200 years. I turned some of it into useful gear for the department and sell the rest to Lucas Miller, Becky Fallon, or other merchants who can never get enough. They'd both give up a leg for it if we asked them. Thankfully, we just charge caps. A lot of caps, but just caps. Barb's honey and mead is just a bonus at the end of the day. She always sells out and makes some good caps with it. But the real money is that cotton, and what we as a department do with it to turn it into a real commodity. As for the rest, I can't discuss security operations, so I'll just say she's dotted all those I's and crossed all those T's just as well. I can tell you, they're the dumbest bunch of smart people that ever tried to kill my family for no reason. Dr. McClintock rightly points out that there is no overarching strategy to what they're doing. Their actions make no sense whatsoever. Kidnap a nobody and replace them with a sterile copy? Why? Send their toasters out to kill us but not take any ground? Why? It makes no sense. We never heard of synths before the night Evan was born, and we were just minding our own business, trying to give birth in a parking garage. All they did that night was make enemies of us. The entire thing sounds more like a half-baked scheme from one of those incels and edgelords games. It's almost like some idiot game producers got together, got stoned, and pulled a contrived story out of their asses to sell a product. It would be laughable if we weren't effectively stuck in the proverbial stupid game with those idiots trying to kill us, you know? I tell you, I'm glad the sheriff and the doc are on the case, though. They're not sitting back and just waiting around for the next synth to show up. Diamond City can cower behind that wall and be a victim. We're a little more proactive around here. I don't know much firsthand, but I can tell you they're on everyone's shit list around here. They'd just as soon shoot one of them as say hello. I guess they brand themselves as a super-secret organization, the only ones with the courage to fight the Institute. Once the sheriff found out that their real MO is just to damage the meat wagons and set them loose on the streets, she was fit to be tied. I mean, I guess I can see their side of it. If you really believe those meat wagons aren't just mindless automatons. But the Institute is kidnapping and killing us and saying they're going to wipe us out. And that doesn't change the railroad's priority just a little? Not only are they useless in any capacity as an ally to stop the Institute, they make the problem worse in their own way. And then this whole super-secret organization that leaves an advertisement holotape stuffed into every unused crack and crevice in Boston. They're rank amateurs, and fighting an existential threat isn't a game. I'd never met one until I met the sheriff, which means I still haven't met an active one. I'm told if they show up, it's best to give them what they want, pay lip service, and move 200 miles away, because they'll be back for more. Ah, the Gunners, huh? Oh yeah, we just love the Gunners around here. Hanging 20 feet up on street lamps by baling wire wrapped around their necks. It all goes back to that attack we mentioned before, that killed Oakes' wife and daughter. Well, for the sheriff and lieutenants, it goes back to another gunner attack in Pennsylvania, the one that took her arm and gave Harkins her scars. What the sheriff did to the Gunners after the Diamond City attack, for Oakes and everyone else who was killed, it was necessary. It's not my place to talk about it because I wasn't there, but suffice to say, she made that day as dark for them as they made it for Diamond City. You ever meet a gunner? You kill them, and make sure everyone who sees it knows it was the FSD who did it. We'll buy you a Slatticino for the effort. Those idiots. Ugh. I can't tell you how many me and Gavin met on the trip down here. Killing them is a good way to stock up on caps and chems on the road. They always underestimate a traveling couple, especially a super pregnant one. Gavin made short work of probably more than a dozen. Gavin caught my eye because he's built like a super mutant, and the sheriff likes him because he fights like a cazador. They're dangerous in big groups or when they're dug in somewhere you want to be, but out in the open, you almost feel bad for them. I can't say I know any. They used to have a strong alliance with Diamond City a very long time ago, but time and the Institute have taken their toll. It's sad. This world needs more good guys, but if there's any Minutemen left out there, they're just a shell of what they used to be. Lily sure doesn't respect them. That much I can tell you. She says they slept through University Point and screwed Quincy over without the courtesy of a reach-around. While I can't attest to what happened to earn her ire, I can tell you that my business suffered when University Point fell. The Commonwealth keeps falling like this, and pretty soon the Sheriff's Department will be the only non-institute player in the game. Right now, it's ours, and we're free to leave the department at any time if we want. I'm a civilian and I dye the fabrics, but my primary job is still as the FSD tailor and conventional armorer. Between my sewing and hammering and my husband's guard duties, we earn our keep. The shop just gives me somewhere to sell the little things I manage to get and fix up on the side, so buy some of it already. What? Oh, yeah, that's me. I mean, Babs grows the cotton, of course. All the textile operations I learned from my father, rest his soul, at a tannery in Far Harbor. He died when I was maybe 12. Fogcrawler got him. Yeah, he taught me the armor stuff, too. I used it to earn my stay with the Children of Adam cult. They had a lot of old military armor to fix up. I don't know how far north you're from, but the cultists up there have some of the best conventional armor Caps can buy today. That's all me. No, I never bought into that stuff. I didn't join because I wanted to. I was a young girl, suddenly on her own. They had shelter and hot food. I paid lip service to their weird shit and towed my line in the armory, and they gave me protection and food. Not a bad deal compared to starving to death in the woods, if you ask me. It means they made copies of living things, I think. Probably for livestock and crops. I've heard Babs use the term before. We should ask her. Yeah, you got an amazing girl here, Gary. Definitely a keeper. And we love having you, Terry. And I have to add, this coffee is amazing. Nuka World Desert Wasteland Camouflage, only at the harbor. Get up close and personal with the brownstone rubble camouflage pattern, only at the harbor. Our Far Harbor-inspired camouflage pattern is perfect for marshes and swamps. Take it from me, I grew up there. You're Lily's friend, right? I saw you during the funeral at the Adam Cat's garage. Thanks for showing up. I've got myself a little problem that needs fixin', and it needs done real quiet-like. There's a reputation on the line. The job's been open for a while. Did you ask yourself why you wanted it now? Look, you just got back on your feet. You've been through hell. We're here for you, but we're giving you distance if you need it. Forget about the job, for now at least. Give it some time. Maybe you'll cool down and think better of it. Have you spoken to Rizzo yet? I bet one of Crenshaw's scouts is around there. We can radio it in and tell Rizzo to sit tight. You can get over there tomorrow. First thing, maybe? Tell you what. You finish up your tour with your friend here, and I'll head over to the department and make sure it gets done right away. Deal? You got it. Now get going. Hey, Lily, why don't you go pay Evan a visit before you get to talking about your power armor and can't stop? Yeah, go visit him while we get the dirt on you from your sidekick here. Brush off that headshot in style with my custom armors. Again with the tattoo on my face, huh? Yeah, I used to run with the cult, if that's what you're asking. I don't apologize for staying alive. My father was the town armorer, and I was apprenticing. But a fog crawler got him when I was 12. I had to stay alive somehow, and the cult gave me 3 hot meals a day when nobody else would. Turns out, I even had that radiation immunity they're famous for. All I had to do was fix their armor and pay lip service to their imaginary friend. It was pretty degraded armor, from a military branch called the Marines, but it was also serious armor worth fixing up. Long story short, with repairs and new etched paint jobs for all of them, I earned my meals, that's for sure. Those rad worship and nut jobs have some of the best conventional armor in the world now. Pretty stylish to boot. Ain't nobody fucking with them up there. It was the best work of my life. Until I came here, that is. I don't have the marine armor no more, but there's plenty I can do with standard issue. But If you're ever unlucky enough to run into one, pretend you're one of them already, or want to join. They'll be far less likely to shoot you. It's not your fault, Lily. Of course you tried to get away. You're Lily. Evan's feeling a lot better now. You were out cold, but he came by and held your hand for a little when Gary was done patching you up. He's in the middle of a lesson with Zawicki, but he can't wait to see his Aunt Lily, so make some time for him. So, are you feeling okay? To be fair, I repurposed standard combat armor, but you should see what I can do with a hammer, rivet gun, and engraver. Fuck yeah, I did. It's top-shelf fabric. And because I haggled the set price, that was the haggle that keeps giving week after week. Lucas always talks about how he never wants to dicker. Funny how fast he wanted to haggle once I quoted him my first price. That's exactly what that is. One of a kind. Or, at least, it is up here. Crenshaw found a merchant in Goodneighbor who has contacts in the capital region, home of Vault 101. The same one that told him about that gunner shithead your friend took out. You know, I'm not supposed to tell anyone this, but you know that gunner contract you took from Oaks? That was the one who was behind the Fat Man during that ambush on Diamond City years ago. That fucker killed a lot of people with that one shot, not the least of which were Oaks' wife and little daughter. They caught a lot of those gunners alive that day, but that son of a bitch got away. Until now. So thank you for that. I'm not gonna say anything else out of respect for Oaks, because he lost more than anybody that day. You're right. It's not fair. And I'm going to tell the sheriff, me and Gavin don't want you to have it either. That wall brings safety but breeds complacency. It's odd seeing departments of work contribute to both. The citizens take what they have for granted. Too many of them have been living behind that wall for too long and forgotten what's out there. There were no walls in Far Harbor, and there certainly weren't any on the trip down here. All the folks down in the D.C. market have been there for years. Some have never had to defend themselves. Some never leave the city. It makes you want to turn a feral loose in there, just to shake things up and let them know the real world is out there. The irony that I'm complaining about them from behind a brick wall while I help to maintain a bigger wall isn't lost on me. Bunker Hill was the first place we came after Lily saved the three of us in that parking garage. The four of us stopped just long enough to get our energy back and then continue on to Diamond City. Evan, who was just hours old, was a big hit with the locals, but Lily said she didn't feel safe with us there given he was a newborn. So we kept moving, through the night, to get to Diamond City. That's how little Lily trusts that place. She gets real twitchy there. It's for a good reason, too. They're infamous for paying into the Raiders' protection racket. A real shame. Stockton's caravans go in and out of there all the time, and it's a good place to shop for those hard-to-find items. But they pass the bill for the payoff to the merchant counter rent fee, and it drives prices up for everyone in the area to cover it. You know what they say about protection rackets. They leave you alone today, prices go up tomorrow. Long term, it's only a matter of time until those raiders demand more than Bunker Hill can afford, and that's when the shit hits the fan for them. Goodneighbor? I love visiting Goodneighbor. With protection, of course. Preferably my husband. It's not half as bad as their reputation makes it out to be. I think they do that to keep the snobs out. Daisy's the only merchant around who can give my bartering skill a run for its money. I get a lot of good stuff from her, like that Vault 101 flask. Granted, she charges a premium for the premium stuff, but so do I. And the good stuff lures the customers to buy my real moneymakers. She knows caravan operators far and wide. If you need to get a message or package to the other coast, she's the one to talk to. I mean, you can still get into trouble in Goodneighbor, but you gotta go looking for it. So, in a way, natural selection helps make it safer. Quincy had a good thing for a long while. It was a pretty big settlement with a lot of commerce coming and going. The problem was that they put their trust in the Minutemen, a farmer militia group that, from what I'm told, has seen much better days. The Minutemen weren't any good at stopping the fall of University Point. Historically, they've been losers for the last century. They weren't really effective at stopping the gunners that came knocking at Quincy one day either. To be blunt, rumor has it one of the Minutemen actually betrayed the town and let the gunners walk in the front door. Now the gunners occupy Quincy, practically in the Adam Katz's front yard, and that makes everyone around here jumpy. University Point was a hell of a trading hub until a couple years ago when the Institute decided it had something they wanted. I did a lot of trading with them. They bought a lot of my fabric, and from there it went out to a number of merchants. If you think I got some unique stuff now, you should have seen it when UP was throwing their best stuff my way to get my fabric first. But as I said, the Institute had an objective, and University Point was in the way. So there ain't a University Point anymore. The Minutemen agreed to help them when the shit hit the fan. But, well, the Minutemen showed up conveniently late. Too late to do anything. I'd been trading with them so long. I didn't just lose a lot of business when UP fell. I lost friends, too. If nothing else, University Point reminds us how truly evil the Institute is. When someone says they want to exterminate you, you believe them. Oh, lucky me. Probably has a guardian angel to boot. Lily's death hit us all pretty hard around here, and I'm not sure we'll ever fully get over it. The closer they are, the more it hurts. And she was family. The best armor in the Commonwealth, right here. We got the only new fabric in the Commonwealth. Watch repair and fine engravings, only at the harbor. Oh, Lily, you're conscious. Oh, it's so good to see you. I didn't know how long Gary was going to keep you. He closed that shutter and wouldn't let anyone else but Babs in that room while he worked. I didn't see you in the bed this morning and thought the worst until Gary said he discharged you. I do. Sometimes just safe isn't enough. When we heard that you were... Oh, Evan. He cried so much. We all did. No, it's not weird at all. You went through hell. Just promise me you'll talk to someone if you keep having these dreams, okay? Yeah, I remember. Hi there, stranger. Now that we got our Lily back, things are pretty damn good. We owe you and Crenshaw some donuts. Remember what I was telling you about Shelley, Sora, and Sean? They finally opened that Manhattan Project place they were talking about. They found a nice building right on the water by some place called the Shamrock Tap House. I've never been there. Speaking of shrewd business owners... Good. She doesn't want to lose you again. Neither do I. Neither does Evan. Neither does anyone here. A lot of people pitched in to clean up, but mostly the sheriff, the guards that joined her, and some very grateful Diamond City residents. By the time we got here, the department had their power armor here, and the main building was cleared along with most of this one. We arrived just in time to be offered and clear out our own space in right field, with the lieutenants and Gary. They were just looking for some able-bodied people, and something better than that pathetic Diamond City guard armor. We had the skills, a baby to protect, and a newly formed hatred for the Institute. A match made in heaven. I'm from there. It's a small island way up north of here full of xenophobes who smell like rotten fish rolled in garbage and body odor. I have no plans to return. I wouldn't go up there if I were you either. If the fog crawlers don't kill you, the cult will. And if that don't happen, you'll go mad from that weird fog. Either way, the locals will look down their noses at you because they think you look down your nose at them. A recurring theme. I grew up with my father at the tannery that you see the sign for on the wall over my shop. He would make new clothes for the locals or repair their old ones where he could. His work was in pretty high demand, and I apprenticed under him. He was particularly good with making new boots, something you go through a lot of on a rocky island like that. He taught me all he knew about tanning, textile sewing, and blacksmithing before a fog crawler took him when I was 12. Those islanders will tell you we gotta stick together when it's convenient for them, like when they want you to mark down the price of boots. But when there's a 12-year-old girl who has no food and has just gotten driven out of her home by trappers, their doors are all closed. I had to join the children of Adam just to put food in my mouth. It was that, or starve to death, alone, in the woods. They're crazy, but they did right by me. They only asked that I earn my keep, and they never questioned my lip service to their imaginary friend. If you ever do go up there and see them running around in marine armor, that's my handiwork that got it back into operational condition. One last warning. The fog up there, it's not like normal fog. It's hard to describe it unless you've seen it. You can scour the radiation off easily enough, but there's a madness that sets in when you're exposed long term. Barb thinks it might be heavy metal isotopes in the water churned up on the breakers causing brain damage, but nobody knows for sure. If he asks, tell Evan we won't be much longer. Silence must be nice after rolling with Lily for a few days. You can't shut her up sometimes. Working for Lily taking its toll, huh? It ain't your fault. Lily's second-to-last sidekick took his share of headshots, too. Like, a lot of them. He had trouble with long-term memory and speaking correctly towards the end. It's a shame, really. Terry just wanted to know your story. Yeah, that's a pretty damn good guardian angel. Lily's an orphan, Terry. Raiders killed her family on the road and left her for dead. Barely old enough to crawl. Trash can Carla found her, catatonic, in some bushes not far from her butchered parents, and brought her to Diamond City. Various kind souls in the city, Zawicki, Becky Fallon, DP's mother, all sort of part-time parented her as needed, but she was usually on her own. She's had a really tough life, and a lot to work through when it comes to raiders, so take it easy on her. Asshole. We got one sitting right here, hun.